Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the show tonight, in a landmark judgment in the Supreme Court, 32 women who were fighting for their right to serve the IAF for more than their short service tenure of 5 years have now been granted full pension, equivalent to officers who went on to serve for a period of 20 years. The battle for these 32 women of the Indian Air Force, which went up to the Supreme Court and who ultimately had to retire before they won their case, has lasted 12 years. In passing its order today, the court relied heavily on the 2020 Babita Punya order of the Supreme Court, which said that the armed forces have discriminatory hiring or recruitment practices for women who are being excluded from positions that they were otherwise entitled to. It's too late for the 32 women who have won their case to serve again in uniform, but getting a full pension is recognition that their fight and their demands were just. That's coming up in just the next few moments. Later on in the show, the Congress leader Ajay Makhan has quit as the party's Rajasthan in charge, indicating that he's upset with the turn of events in September when Ashok Gehlot at the last minute refused to give up the post to contest the Congress president's election. This is the latest crisis for the Congress party in Rajasthan. Well, joining us now for that incredible victory of 32 women in the Indian Air Force, I'm joined by Squadron leader Ruchita Karthikeyan, Squadron leader Prema Nair, and Chitrangada Rasravara. She's an advocate of the Supreme Court of India. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Chitrangada, let me come to you first. Ultimately, it's a battle which took 12 years. 12 years when in fact, and the fact that you won the case now indicates that if there was a decision 12 years back, all of these women could actually be in colors and serving, right?
That's right. That's right. But it's not like that we have still lost a lot, because even after waiting for 12 years, though the reinstatement was refused since we've been out for 10 plus years, but what we are getting is the pensionary benefits that's going to secure our future. And let me tell you that this is the last of Trinity. It started with the brilliant army judgment that came for the army officers, women officers, then the navy judgment came, and this remained in between because of the COVID, etc. Now finally the Trinity is complete, and some of the earliest commissioned officers, they've got what they were seeking, not the reinstatement, but yes, the pensionary benefits.
Ruchita Karthikeyan, could you tell us what this moment means for you? You'd wanted to be in uniform to serve as long as you could. 14 odd years, that's when short service commission was there. That's not happened. You had to retire, but you've got the pension now. What does this mean for you?
Sir, it means a lot to us. It has been a long fight. It's been 12 years since we left. Though any day reinstatement would have been a better thing for us, and especially in my case, because I also being a widow of a defense officer.
Right.
But any day, whatever we have got, this also means a lot to us. And seeing the fight for such a long time, we are really thankful to even all our advocates, as well as Indian Air Force, for being supportive throughout.
Squadron leader Karthikeyan, it's interesting what you mentioned, and it's very sad that you are the widow of an Indian Air Force officer. The Indian Air Force took you in on compassionate grounds, but after a period of 5 years, there was no place for you left. And the entire argument that you've raised...
Sir, I got widowed after I had taken release, because I was not getting permanent commission. So for me, this battle has been, I would say, double-fold, because it was just within a year of leaving Air Force that I lost my husband. And since then, the battle has been on, and today it is a victory for all of us, all my friends. And it's a great day. It's actually a landmark judgment for all of us, for which we have been waiting for a very long time.
You know, Chitrangada, this is, in a sense, it's new in that it's taken place right now in the courts, but it's an old case. Do you believe that it was after this that there was this wonderful 2020 Babita Punya judgment, which has actually opened up doors for women for a permanent commission, which women like Squadron leader Karthikeyan never had earlier on? That the women being inducted into the Army, Air Force, Navy now, who have a chance at a full career, a full commission, they have many more opportunities than what, say, Squadron Leader Karthikeyan had just a few years back.
That's right, sir. But what is the difference is that we took release, thinking that the other extension. If we take the other extension, that we are going to lose on other opportunities outside the forces. So that's the difference between us and Army. However, we are in a better position than Army also. We were, because our initial policy said that, we should be offered PC, but it was never offered to us. And since it was not offered, so we declined the extension. But what has been granted today, which is the pensionary benefit, that, as I mentioned earlier, has secured not only our future, but it's like we are the pioneers for the others to come in. And since the pioneers paved the way for women officers, so I think it is going to be a landmark judgment still, because it has given reinstatement after 10 plus years.
No, and Chitrangada, I think the larger point over here is that women who in the past were in short service commission, it was extremely difficult for them to serve for 10 years or ultimately 14 years. There was a system which neglected women, a system which looked the other way, prevented women from actually rising. There were physical requirements of women in tests which were unfair as well. Then you went to court and you fought for 12 years, and I think the ultimate victory is that everything that you said, right, that it's unfair, it's discriminatory, women deserve the right to serve for 14 years, right? All of that has been proven to be correct. Your entire argument is correct, is that right?
All of that has been recognized by giving this benefit by the court. The benefit that has been given itself shows that everything is recognized. So if this was not in picture earlier, you did not mention Nitisha matter. Nitisha was the follow-up of Babita Punia. So that further laid down the principles of taking in officers on evaluation, which is done on the basis of what was the criteria existing when they were supposed to be taken for PC. So that was also considered today while our arguments were made. And we did make a point that, the AR should not be considered. However, the AR criteria
the AR meaning annual report, right?
Yes,
for the
right.
benefit of our viewers.
The qualitative requirement, that point has still been kept open. And though there is a yardstick that has been set by the justices, by the judges of the Apex Court. But all being said, even keeping that yardstick, what has been held by the Supreme Court is that those officers who are not meeting that yardstick today and have been waiting for this verdict for the past 12 years must be considered on the same footing as those officers who are meeting the yardstick. So that itself shows how the Supreme Court has recognized the rights of all those women. There were about 30 women officers who were before the court today, and in a way they have recognized everybody's right.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely huge. Squadron Leader Prema Nair, thanks very much for being with us. What does this day mean for you? It's been a huge battle. Did you think that this is just going to go from hearing to hearing, court to court, and you wouldn't get justice because it's sort of forgotten in a sense? Things have changed. Women have more opportunities now. All of you were forgotten. Or did you think that there'd be justice for you as well?
Oh yes, it was a very, very long battle actually. And there were times when we actually lost hope also. And it was difficult going on, but we had huge support from our lawyers. I would especially like to mention Ms. Aishwarya Bhati, who really gave us a hope and told us that it's a battle that you can win. And of course, the training in our Air Force also helped us to, it gave us the training not to give up ever. So that was there. Of course, fight started when we were in our early 30s, and now we are in our late 40s.
Right.
So that, of course, yes, we would have
been
really
and that Squadron Leader Nair is really the point. Had there been justice early, you won your case. It's come 12 years later. Had you had justice, in a system which had quick justice, you would have had the opportunity of being in uniform and continuing to serve. Because what you are fighting for today is not the pension, it's the honor and the dignity and the right to serve, which you were denied, right? So Squadron Leader Nair, that is the point. If we had a faster system of justice, if in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months they decided your case and said, okay, fine, you have a point, you would have been in uniform. That's all that you wanted, right?
Yes, it's a long 12 years it took for us to get this. But of course, till the last minute, we were asking for reinstatement. And we, all these years, we kept ourselves fit and were ready to join anytime. So it was a bit of a disappointment. But of course, we are still grateful for whatever we've been given.
That's absolutely.
It would have been much more exhilarating if it was a permanent, if we were in uniform now.
But it gave us a determination to stay medically fit the day, because we always thought we'll get reinstated, so we should be medically fit to join back at any point of time. I think that was a driving force for us to stay medically fit for all these years. It was one of the things.
Yeah. But that would have dawned at some stage that, no matter how fit you are, just because of the age criteria, it wouldn't be, even if you won the case, you wouldn't be back in uniform. That must have hurt a lot.
Yes, it did hurt a lot.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It does.
Until the very end,
it does.
if I may mention, sir.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, Chitrangada.
So I'm just mentioning that we tried for reinstatement until the very end. It's not like that we lost hope about reinstatement. And every day I was told by my clients that we are in the best of the shape. And even today, if we are at all evaluated for the purpose of reinstatement, we are fit. You may go ahead and fight for reinstatement. But maybe what's stuck with the judges was, and the mental barrier was because of the number of years that had passed, though it was for no fault of theirs, but the number of years did become a mental barrier for the judges. Yes.
Chitrangada, there was one point you mentioned earlier on, that this is a landmark because it also applies to other women in the Army, Air Force, Navy who have been denied. Do you have a rough idea of how many others might actually benefit, or is it just that 32?
No, so amongst the 32, there are some officers who do not meet the yardstick as laid down by the court. So the court has gone ahead and said that these officers may be considered on the same footing as those who are meeting the yardstick. So it's just for those 30 officers.
Why were these women, some of them, not considered per this yardstick? Was it a physical requirement that they were unable to meet, which is why they were not considered, or was there some other reason?
So as they have taken into account the policy of 2010, and they say that 6.5 is the QR requirement. It's getting into technicalities,
right.
But since you're asking, so 6.5, those who are not meeting that criteria, there are not many officers, there are only 4 of such officers. So that is why we pleaded before the court that since these officers have been waiting as long as the others, so they may be considered for the grant of pensionary benefits as well. So the court recognized the rights and told the Indian Air Force that they may be considered on the same footing as those officers who are meeting the yardstick. And in fact, these officers don't have the figure that they have is not much lower than what is the yardstick. It's between 6.2 to 6.5. Right. So that can be ignored for these officers because they spent prime of their lives just fighting for this matter, for this cause.
And also, Supreme Honorable Court took into cognizance that we were not graded with permanent commission in mind. While grading, that permanent commission was not available for women officers, so we were never graded with that in mind.
Yeah.
So our appraisals also were affected by that mindset.
This was one of the principles laid down in Nitisha matter, if
sure.
we recollect.
But, as I wrap this up, and, congratulations again to all of you and to one of your lawyers, a very young Chitrangada who's fought so hard with her team, and congratulations to her as well. But Squadron Leader Karthikeyan, one final question to you, and I think it's important to mention this, that it's because of the process that a few of you started and the court battle that you fought, that the Supreme Court over a period of time ruled in the Babita matter, and there was a judgment after that as well. You have now won, your rights, but even before that, for new women joining the Army, Air Force, Navy, they have the chance at that full career, which none of you did. So India today is better, it's changed, where women on the grounds of their ability have the right to progress through the rank system. So it's a better India that we have today. Would you agree?
Yes, sir. It is a better place. And now forces have opened up their arms for taking women in all the streams, in all the 3 services, which is a great step. So it is just that maybe we were born a little earlier, so we lost out on that chance. And as we said, had this judgment come much earlier, then maybe we would also have been in uniform today, back to the blue skies.
Yeah, I know. It would have been an absolute dream come true. Squad Leader Nair, one final question to you. What is your message to young women who want to join the armed forces? The reason I ask is because I know there are more opportunities now. But I would suggest that the culture of the armed forces, the thinking of the armed forces towards women is now changing. It was brutally sexist in the past. It was designed in a way in which women were denied opportunities. The court came to everybody's help, and now there are more opportunities. And I think that mindset, which has been the biggest block, is starting to change. Is that something you believe is now taking place?
Yes, I do believe that. And I would definitely recommend young girls to join the Air Force, the Defense Services. It is a matter of pride to serve our nation. And of course, the mindset of the armed forces is also changing towards women. Now it's available, permanent commission is available all through the forces. All three forces are giving permanent commission. And of course, there may be some cases, but of course the fight may go on.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I would recommend everybody, all ladies, that it's a good profession and it will give you pride.
Absolutely.
To serve the nation.
Absolutely. Look, congratulations once again. Thank you so much, all of you, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The Congress leader Ajay Maken has quit as the Congress's Rajasthan in charge. Sources indicate he is suggesting that he's upset with the turn of events in late September when Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot at the last minute refused to give up the post to contest the Congress president's election. Remember, over 90 MLAs loyal to Mr. Gehlot had refused to attend a key party meeting and had gone instead to the Speaker to hand in their resignation in protest against the possibility of Mr. Gehlot being replaced by his rival Sachin Pilot. Well, joining us now for more on this, Rashid Kidwai. We're also joined by Kapil Madan and Divya Mahipal Madarna. Divya is the MLA from Ocean. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Kapil Madan, when does this end? It's a crisis which never ends in the Rajasthan Congress. Here you've got a senior leader, Ajay Maken, saying that, look, I don't want to do this job anymore. What does it say of the continued state of the Congress in Rajasthan?
Now, Vishnuji, I think one positive thing that that we can read from the letter is that someone, if there was something that happened, we saw how Ashok Gehlot publicly came and he made a public statement wherein he took the onus and the responsibility, and he very, very candidly and very, very transparently said that as a chief minister, it was his job to get the resolution passed. However, since it was not passed, and he was sad and he, took the responsibility. At the same time, when you see the resignation of Mr. Maken, it shows what? It shows, possibly, if Mr. Maken was also unhappy, he has also taken the responsibility that he could not ensure, whatever fiasco happened there, or he could not ensure that the resolution, was passed. And he's taken, if he's unhappy and he's taken the responsibility, I see a positive sign where if someone is not able to deliver, he has taken the responsibility and has switched the role.
Yeah, but there's been no action against anybody. Divya Mahipal Madarna, is that the key issue that perhaps has infuriated, some, that there's been no action at all, that has infuriated Mr. Maken, that there has been no action against the MLAs. There were 90 of them, a complete case of disobedience within the party. Ajay Maken, there were a couple of show cause notices, I think 3 or 4, but nothing has come off that.
As I was hearing the previous, and it's a positive, I don't think it's a positive sign. Mr. Maken is not responsible to arrange things. He has come there as with the observer. It's the chief minister's where he was candidly accepted that he was supposed to pass the one-time resolution. After that report submitted, and obviously the Indisciplinary Act notice was issued to 3 people. Still on the prime road, somebody has to go. And somebody has to resign. It is those 3 people who are heading that whole thing that time. It is not the market.
Right.
We are in an absolutely embarrassing situation. He's a man of self-respect. I salute him for what the decision that he's taken. Because imagine if he would come as the general secretary, these are all people who were accusing him of being biased.
Right. 1 second, but the line is a bit bad. We'll come back to you. Rashid Kidwai, is there a sense that Ajay Maken was actually supporting Sachin Pilot, and then there was pressure on Ashok Gehlot from his supporters, and the entire situation became untenable, and then he had to go? Is that one way of looking at it?
Not really, Vishnu. I think that's the past. The present is that, High Command's inability to enforce its kind of dictate, its terms, because here it's a very disturbing thing that the 3 persons who the Congress had issued a show cause, now they have been made in charge of, Bharat Jodo Yatra, and Ajay Maken is raising that point, that how do I go there and face the same people who are defied, and I, kind of co-opt them without a decision being taken. I always maintain, Vishnu, it's a litmus test for Mr. Kharge, a first test, a political test, and Mr. Kharge seems to be dithering, and that is why these things are blown out of proportion. There is no point blaming Gandhis who are not really at the helm of affair. Mr. Kharge is within his rights to declare that Mr. Ashok Gehlot will continue to be the chief minister for the rest of the tenure or whatever, or do the otherwise, as Divya was suggesting. But he must take a call. You just cannot do this kind of thing, as Narasimha Rao kind of thing. The inaction is an action in itself, right. Or dithering, or waiting for another day.
Kapil Madan, is that the key point? That the new Congress president doesn't seem empowered enough to actually take a decision. The original choice is that Ashok Gehlot would no longer be chief minister. He could have run for president himself. He chose to remain in this kissa kursi ka situation in Rajasthan. Sachin Pilot, who was seen to be somebody who would come in as chief minister, finds himself nowhere now within Rajasthan in terms of what his aspirations were. The party is split down the middle, so where is the cohesion in the party?
Now, Som, I think it's too early to draw any kind of conclusion. It's been hardly 1 month since Mr. Kharge took over as the president of the Congress party, and I agree with you that yes, I mean it does not send a very very good signs amongst the general public, because we the elections are around the corner in the Rajasthan also. But at the same time, one needs to also ensure that having a competition in the party brings more fire, more competitiveness, in any organization. So, I mean, we saw when, the elections for president of the Congress party were announced, you had different contenders, and there were reports that Mr. Gehlot would also be contesting. On the other hand, if you draw a parallel with the BJP, now they don't have any other person who, thinks that he is competent to contest for the post of the president. I mean, we just saw Mr. Nadda, he got his second term unopposed. There was not even a second contender. So if I ask a question to myself, now who would be the next big leader after Mr. Modi, if you ask this question, then you don't get an answer.
Sure.
Because there is no aspiration, because there is no one in the BJP now who can claim himself to be competent enough for the post of the PM, or maybe for the post of the party president.
All right, so the Congress party, one way or the other, remains in a mess in Rajasthan. Let's see if this gets resolved. I'm out of time. I'd like to thank all of you very much for being with us. We'll take a short break, come back with more.